But now let's move on to the thing that I had the strangest response to this week. We are, of course, referring to new internet darling KPop Demon Hunters, which, okay, that title alone, I was expecting it to be so bad and cringe.
Yeah. It's a little cringe.
You mean the movie itself, or?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but it's like it's fun and charming cringe as opposed to boring cringe.
That's true. Yeah.
So yeah, K-pop Demon Hunters has been it's been trading around the top 1 or 2 of Netflix since it released on I believe last Friday. And I was home alone because my usual buddy I would go and see things with was going to a cousin's wedding. And I say to myself, I've watched much worse. I'll give this a go. I'm sure that it'll be like Turning Red, where it's just awful, and 5 minutes in, I'm giving up. Half an hour in, I'm texting Daniel going, okay, yeah, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
So 30,000 foot view. This is a Sony animated production, Netflix original. And it is set in a world where in Korea, there are always these trios of girls who are performers, and their songs create a magical barrier over, I don't know if it's worldwide or just Korea, that protects them from incursions by demons.
Yes.
And these 3 are the newest generation.
Yes, and from left to right, we got Mira, Rumi, and Zoe. And they all have interesting little backstories, and their personality quirks, which if you follow, and I'll be honest, I'm really not a K-pop person, but I know a little bit of it to know that like each member of a K-pop singing group, whether it's girl or boy, each person has like individual like quirks and personalities and talents that kind of make make up a cohesive whole for the group, much like boy bands were here in America back in the 90s and 2000s.
Right, you'll have the rap artist, you'll have the dancer, you'll have the singer, you'll have the tough one.
Yeah.
And although it is a little unusual in my experience, which I've been to a few concerts with some friends, but I wouldn't say I'm super down that rabbit hole. I can't think of the last time I saw a K-pop group that just had 3 members, but they barely had time to play with the characters they had, so totally understandable.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, Mira and Zoe are very much background characters in this movie.
Yes, this is very much Rumi's movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I get the sense that it's almost like Sony Animation went to Netflix with a pitch for a show, and they were told make it a movie instead.
Yeah.
And so it feels like they took the what would probably have been the like season 1 meta plot and turned it into the movie.
Yeah, and they and cut out any filler episodes.
Right. Yeah. And that is a nice thing about this, is that there is really not a lot of fat on the bone.
No, it gets straight to the point. Yeah. Yeah, and so they so basically like the whole conflict with the movie is that they're very close to like completely sealing up the barrier or whatever, like completely closing it off for good. And Rumi decides, okay, this is the time for our big single, Golden. And but then right around that time, Rumi's voice starts giving out on her, and we learn that Rumi is actually part demon, because she has because all the demons have these patterns on their arms and chests and everything, and faces.
Right, and and we find out that she is half demon. Now, this might lead you to logical questions like, okay, who's the father? We know that her mother was she's like the only legacy member of this tradition of demon slaying K-poppers, and but we don't really so her mom was one, and her mom died when she was young. We don't really know the circumstances of her mom's death or why or how she was conceived.
Yeah, I part of me wonders if like so like the big baddie in the movie is this demon thing called it reminded me of the master control program from Tron, to be honest.
It basically was Guima.
Guima, yeah. Yeah, and I wonder if maybe like he somehow got her mom pregnant, maybe, or something along the, kind of like a la, one of the Greek gods, like Zeus,
right? Or if you prefer, Emperor Palpatine in the Star Wars sequels, which nobody should.
No, we shouldn't.
But yeah. So if I have a criticism for the movie, and it is just because, again, they have a show's worth of subplots and ideas that they only really have time to drive down the main Rumi story. Her issue is, of course, that if they find out that she's part demon, she feels like her friends will reject her. And this is, of course, more than just being cast out of your main social group and career. This is you have two people who are very good at killing monsters thinking you're a monster.
Yeah. And Ninja says a couple of things. The music is a drug. Yeah, it is.
Yes. Oh, it is. Yeah. I would say that the musically, this is the most like Twice of the various K-pop groups I've experienced, and not just because they had members of Twice coming to do a version of their song "Takedown."
Yeah.
Yeah. So music is a drug. Also, the animation is okay. So Sony Animation is like one of the most inconsistent animation studios out there.
Yeah.
Like I would say Pixar was formerly consistently good and now it's consistently bad. So, it's consistency of a sort.
Yeah.
DreamWorks, there's like two phases of DreamWorks. One where it's like you have sophisticated kids movies like Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, and The Wild Robot. Then you have Drek, like The Bad Guys and the Teenage Kraken movie.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me. But Sony is like the most bipolar because this is the studio that'll give us things like the Emoji Movie. It'll give us a surprisingly good Angry Birds. It'll give us Academy Award-winning Spider-Verse movies. At least I think that at least one of the Spider-Verse movies won an award. That's my memory.
I know. Yeah, I know the second one was nominated for best animated feature.
Right, though it lost to
Boy and the Heron.
That's right.
Yeah, and then Sony Animation also gave us the Garfield movie.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, so it's and so for this to come out where it not only just hits the right notes, if you'll excuse the pun, to do what it wants to do, but this is some of the best 3D animation I think I've ever seen, at least in the context of an action movie.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it's there was it wasn't too distracting like the Spider-Verse movies that have that kind of like Jackson Pollock feeling to it with some of the art style.
Yeah, it also occasionally does the Spider-Verse thing where it has slow frame rate. And I was kind of worried about that in the opening scene. But I think that's just a thing that they're as character resolutions get better. I think that's something you're going to see more often with crowd shots and things like that.
Yeah.
Just because it isn't worth the effort to give really smooth animation to, thousands of crowd members you can barely see.
Right.
But like once these characters actually started moving around, it was smooth, and they synced the music and the fighting together well. And also, all the characters are just charming.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. Sorry about that.
Very good. And actually, it's funny here. I had originally just picked this picture just to troll, but this actually has a good example of several things in the movie, like the combination of 2D and 3D style, because you can kind of see that the noses are hand drawn, noses and mouths are hand drawn over the CGI models for this rapid cup of noodle drinking scene.
Yeah.
Also, there's a lot of actual little character information here as I'm looking, because so Mira is like the tough one, and her flavor is Spice Queen.
Yeah.
Rumi is the headliner and main character. Rumi, superstar flavor. And Zoe is from America, and her flavor is hamburger.
That fits. Yeah. Zoe. I remember that. Yeah, Zoe is from she was from some town called Burbank.
Which also reflects how a lot of K-pop groups will have a surprising amount of multinationalism in there. You do have American, Asians of various stripes who come in, people from Japan, Thailand, Korea, of course, China and Taiwan. As somebody who just has a buddy who occasionally shows me stuff, this definitely, and has been to a couple of concerts, this definitely had that K-pop feel. We haven't really gotten to the villain squad yet, because their rivals are a bunch of demons who have decided to make themselves a boy band to infiltrate the world, because these girls are too good at killing demons.
Yes, and the lead in the boy band, what was his name?
Genu.
Genu, yeah. And he looks like a typical Korean pretty boy.
Oh, what's great about this is that I've been saying for years that most K-pop boy bands or boy groups, who will often have an aesthetic of black leather and other costumes like that, look like anime villains. So somebody finally put that together.
Yeah. Yeah, and they decided to fight fire with fire while being on fire.
Yes. That's here. I'd say this is new enough that I don't want to get into spoilers.
Yeah.
I would say that if anything we've said sounds remotely appealing, go give it a watch. It's on Netflix right now. I feel like they have left a lot of money on the table by not putting this out in theaters.
Yeah. I don't know how much they spent on it, because Netflix they don't report on their production budgets, but I would imagine they probably could have made their money back if they released it in theaters.
Yeah, let's do a quick little check here. Garfield movie 2024. Because this animation is so much better than that one, but it would give us a rough idea of what they would budget for a low-grade animation movie. Okay, so that one was 60 million. It would not shock me if this was twice that. Just because they're doing a lot more with it.
Yeah.
And again, they aren't paying Chris Pratt's salary, so maybe it's about the same.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, firm recommend. It's the right kind of cringe. If you're watching it, and okay, so it took me like 5 minutes to get into it, because I had my guard up, because I was so ready for it to just be awful.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh god, they're doing food humor right off the bat. Oh no.
Yeah.
But it actually worked, and it made me realize that they're like, no, no, DB. It's okay to have humor. I keep saying humor, food humor in animation or comic book. It's just just because you kept having hacks at Marvel Comics putting it where it didn't belong doesn't mean it can't be funny.
Yeah.
Get over the trauma, which
Yes.
is ironically part of the message of this movie, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Oh, the other criticism I'll make is that it is, in a technical sense, another Asian mom expectations story, but the Asian mom does not appear on camera outside of flashbacks until one of the last scenes of the movie. So
Yeah.
it could have done more with that. And I guess it's a good thing when a story is solid enough that you wish they had more time for all of the cool things that they were bringing your way.
Yeah.
But it generally works.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully it'll either get a sequel or maybe even a TV series out of it.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what you would do with the series because they kind of wrapped things up nicely. But so maybe a series would just be retelling the same story but expanded, but that also feels repetitive. So
yeah,
I don't know what to recommend.
Yeah. Well, we'll just leave that to Sony, I guess.
Yep.